Separate development, two Labour peers could face suspension from Parliament for 6 months after being found guilty of misconduct. The Lords Privileges Committee found ex-Trade Minister Lord Truscott and Lord Taylor of Blackburn were willing to change laws in exchange for money. Let's speak to our political correspondent Gillian Hargreaves, who's in Westminster. What did they actually do?
Well, the Code of Conduct in the House of Lords is crystal clear. You cannot take money as a peer from a company and then try to amend or change legislation as it makes its way through the House of Lords. But these two, Lord Taylor and Lord Truscott, have been found to be the sort of people who would take money from companies, and that they would be prepared to table amendments or ask others to table amendments which would alter legislation as it goes through the Lords. That's clearly a breach of the Code of Conduct. So this morning, a Lords Privileges Committee announced that the two would face suspension following a vote in the House of Lords sometime next week.
So how likely is it that they will be suspended?
Oh, there's enormous anger in the House of Lords about all of this. The leader of the Conservatives in the House of Lords has described it as a bleak day. Just sheer astonishment that two of their colleagues could behave like this. So I think it's almost certain that the vote will go against the two men. Two other Lords, Lord Mooney and Lord Snape, have been told that they've got to apologise to the House for their attitude, their disregard for parliamentary procedure. So yes, this has absolutely rocketed the House of Lords.
Gillian Hargreaves, thank you very much. Our political correspondent Ian Watson joins us now from Ilkeston in Derbyshire, where Gordon Brown is this lunchtime. He arrived a short time ago. First of all, Ian, the expenses scandal, Andrew Mackay, the first scalp to be claimed in all this. Can we actually expect any more?
I think we probably can. We're just waiting for the Prime Minister to walk into the venue to launch the European and local election campaigns for the Labour Party, but against a pretty miserable backdrop. What he's going to try to do is try to get on the front foot in this expenses row. And it looks once again as though the Conservatives might slightly have outmanoeuvred him this morning, because only yesterday, I'm told, Andrew Mackay was telling his local newspaper that he had nothing to fear from the expenses row. Then today he's standing down as an aide to David Cameron, and it all looks rather embarrassing. But it does look as though the Conservatives are being decisive in this. Labour are trying to regain the initiative. My understanding is, when it comes to Elliot Morley, the most pressing problem that Labour has over the expenses row, that the Chief Whip has already met Elliot Morley. He's already talked to Gordon Brown about this. He's trying to clarify some facts, but the Prime Minister's spokesman is saying that Gordon Brown himself takes this all very, very seriously indeed. He'll be having another urgent meeting with the Chief Whip, Nick Brown, later on today. They'll be talking to Elliot Morley later on today, and as a Downing Street advisor told me, watch this space. So I suspect that Labour will now be looking to take some kind of action against those who've apparently breached the rules, even if they say it was an honest mistake.
And the Prime Minister is expected to speak in the next half hour. I mean, is he expected to address the whole expenses issue?
Well, what he actually wanted to talk about was, of course, the European and local elections. His message was going to be that Labour is on the side of hard-working families. Now, that becomes far less of a credible message when you talk about, for example, a Cabinet Minister, Hazel Blears, who's here only yesterday offering to pay back £13,000 of taxpayers' money. It becomes much more difficult when you've got £16,000 in Elliot Morley's case being claimed for a mortgage that didn't exist. So that the key message Labour has for these elections is being undermined. There's, however, going to be a question and answer session from invited members of the audience here, and the Prime Minister, I think, will have to answer some questions from them, I suspect, on the expenses issue, which has been dominating things at the moment. And I'm told that the Prime Minister is just about to walk in, surrounded, perhaps protected by a gaggle of school children on his way to this election launch. But I think the questions on expenses are not going to die down for some time yet.
Ian Watson in Derbyshire, thank you very much, and we shall hear more from you later on in the programme. The Prime Minister there arriving for the launch of the local and European elections, as you can see.